What is going on, people? Tuesday Takeover is back. It's actually Tuesday, so you're welcome for that. Austin McNorton, Nolan Brooks in quarantine from two different locations. There's no sports going on, but we're bringing you the entertainment anyways. You're welcome. Nolan, say what's up to the people.
How are you, everybody? I'm enjoying my slumber, rocking the KU hat today. We have a special topic for you people, but overall, I'm doing good.
There is no March Madness, unfortunately, this year. I think the championship, would it have happened?
It would have happened yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah.
I posted about it. I saw posts on the NCAA's Instagram and their Twitter and stuff like that. So
that's just crazy to think about. That's just crazy. Nolan and I would have been talking about it literally all day today in the X106 studio, but we're bringing you a podcast without March Madness. So Nolan and I are going to do this weekly podcast, short little thing. And today's topic, we're going through the top 5 March Madness moments of all time. We each have 5 moments that are on our top 5. Now, I don't know about Nolan, but for my list, I went for 5 moments that I remember the most and I like the most. Like, obviously, I could have gone with, look, there are 5 that should probably be on, like, everyone's list. Texas Western winning it all, obviously the Glory Road movie. That's one. Christian Laettner's shot, that's another one. I mean, Magic versus Larry Bird, that's another one. Like, those are automatics, like, qualifiers, in my opinion. But I did 5 that I personally remember and personally saying, I will never forget where I was. I will never forget this moment. I don't know what you did for your list, but that's what I did for my list.
Yeah, that's definitely – well, I mean, 2 of them, I will admit, I mean –
that's fair. I mean, that's fine. I have 2 that are –
moments where it's memorable for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In KU's purposes, but the other 3, I mean, I promise, I'm gonna surprise you with one of these. You're not gonna see it coming.
I'm high.
And you'll like it.
Michael Jordan's game winner, that's another one. Like, the list goes on and on of all these moments. So March Madness's Twitter is actually, for all of you out there listening / watching this right now, go out, check out their Twitter. They had a full 64 team bracket of all these moments. Crazy. And I think the national championship just happened. It was UMBC, and then Illinois had come back in 2005 against Arizona. And that's the other team in the national championship. That was like Bruce Weber. That was Bill Self's team that Bruce Weber took over when Bill Self went to KU. So there's a little local tie there for you. But, gosh, I'm so excited. Should we just get started?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
here's how this is going to work. I'm going to give my number 5. Nolan's going to give his number 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, etc. So do you want to start? I'll let you start. I'll let you start with your number 5.
Okay. So my number 5, I already told you, I have 2 KU ones, so number 5 is a KU one.
If I were you, I'd probably do all 5 KU.
So number 5 for me, Kansas defeating Duke in OT to send home Grayson Allen and Marvin Bagley in the Elite 8 to move on to the Final Four. Now, that Final Four matchup for KU against Villanova was not pretty.
It wasn't pretty.
One of the worst performances we've seen in a Final Four. Anyway, but that was just super memorable for me because that Duke team was similar to how Zion and RJ Barrett were. There was so much hype around them, and they're like, Duke is the team to beat in the tournament.
Absolutely.
But then, the matchup kind of lined up to where KU and Duke were going to meet in the Elite 8, battle the Blue Bloods. Perfect matchup. Then KU comes out, and they considered it a stunner of a game because they thought Duke would run away with that with the amount of talent they had.
And that was Grayson Allen's senior year, right? So it was like all the buildup. This was Grayson Allen's time, and it was – who was with him? Was it gosh, I'm blanking on his name right now. Who was with him?
They had a point guard.
Marvin Bagley.
Marvin Bagley too, because he had graduated a year early to come to Duke and play his year so he could get to the NBA, but he was trying to win a national championship, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was all this hype around Marvin Bagley, and And, Grayson Allen was one of the best players in the country at that point. And so, there was a lot built around that game, a lot more than it might seem. And so that's why I made my number 5. Me personally, as a KU fan, it was good to see a matchup like that. And from a basketball perspective, when KU and Duke play each other in postseason time, you got to watch it. So,
do you remember where you were when you watched? Like, do you remember exactly where you were, what you did, all that? Because I remember exactly. I was driving back to school. I was in the car driving. Wasn't even watching it. I was listening to KU's play-by-play, and on Grayson Allen's shot that, hit every single part of the rim and didn't go in. The way that was described on the radio, I was like, what just happened? How did he not make it? And then I went back and watched the video, and I still was like, how did he not make it? It's so crazy. I just remember, that's like all these moments. I remember exactly where I was. I was driving in the car on my way to Wichita, listening to it, and I could not believe that it didn't go in.
Well, yeah, I was at home with my dad and my brother, and we all had on our KU jerseys, and we were sitting around the TV, and I remember our hearts just stopping when that Grayson Allen floater went up, and oh man, it was insane.
Unbelievable. That's a great way to start this off. So my number 5 is one that is kind of close to my chest. It's one that people talk about a lot, but people are like, it's the what if. It's the what if. It probably would be number 1 had it gone in. And this is Gordon Hayward's half-court heave against Duke in the national championship that everyone remembers. Hit off the backboard and hit off the front of the rim. And it was just like even Jim Nantz was like, oh, it almost went in. Before he said, Duke's the national champion and all this, he said, oh, how did that not go in? Because everyone was like, how did that not go in? It's exactly what we were talking about with Grayson Allen. And this is close because that team for Butler, Gordon Hayward, knocked out K-State in the Elite Eight, made it to the Final Four, and they should have beaten Duke on that half-court shot. And I'll never forget it because I was like, I just sat there. We just all sat there and sounded like, how did this not go in? That's why it's my number 5. It would if it would have went in, I think it'd be number 1 on probably everyone's list. That's how it is. I have a non-game winner in my top 5. So
that's not completely crazy to put it in there. It's probably one of the most talked about misses that college basketball has had. And so just kind of thinking about how elite that Butler program was 2 years in a row. There's not many programs that make it to the national championship 2 years in a row. And so especially a team that was not on any radars. And to repeat like that was outstanding. And, unfortunately for them, they didn't win either one, but Gordon Hayward, that was almost Gordon Hayward's kind of coming out party moment because they're like, wow, who is this kid? And then you go and watch his film from the tournament and all that and how good he was. And
got a job with Boston in the NBA.
Leads to the NBA, going to the Jazz, and now he's making big money with the Celtics. So, that a missed shot leads to all that. So,
dude,
I'm not. I would be upset. So
I'll never forget it. What a great way to start. Number 4. What a great way to start this off. My gosh.
All right. Here's your surprise for you.
All right.
My number 4, 1983 national championship. NC State versus Houston and Hakeem Olajuwon. Yep. Coach V, the upset tip at the buzzer to win the national championship. The reason I have it at number 4 is Coach Valvano is probably one of my biggest inspirations, and I think he's probably my favorite coach of all time. Just the way he approached the game, and he took that underdog mentality and made that team who they were with that underdog mentality, all but led them, they started out, they were not very good when they started out. That was the God honest truth with it. And he built up a program with seniors and juniors that returned.
Competing against a blue blood in North Carolina in the same state.
Exactly. Competing against very, very big teams. At the time, Houston and Akeem Olajuwon were Clyde Drexler was on that team as well. If you would have thought that NC State
beat them. 30 for 30 on that team, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So, if you would have thought that would lead to such a big moment, you would seem crazy with who they played. But in hindsight, one of the greatest moments of all time for me personally was, going back and watching that and seeing how that team built up and then leading to the national championship win was really cool.
That's another one of those, that's a top 5 all-timer, should be on kind of – and it's because of, how they won it like that with the heave. There's a 3 for the win. Oh, no, it's a tip slam. And then Valvano's running around like somebody hug me or something. He's just running around looking for somebody to tackle. That's iconic. They show that in pretty much every March Madness preview and promo and everything because it's a top 5 all time. That's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 4 for me. This time it's a half-court shot that actually went in, and it is close to the neck of the woods. Paul Jesperson with UNI half-court buzzer beater over Texas. I believe it was in 2016 is when this happened. Texas made a big comeback. They tied the ball game up. Everyone's like, oh, here we go. We're going to OT. Next thing you know, Paul Jesperson gets a great look, center of half court, buries it. Game over, game winner, no doubt. It was in. He got it off in time. And it was so good. It was Jesperson. We play this in our intro. We play this in our intro to our show of Tuesday Takeover. It's Jesperson at the buzzer. He got it. Never forget it. Because I was personally okay, Big 12, Texas, come on. And then this guy's wow, are you kidding me? I couldn't even imagine losing a game like that. Half court for the win. Never forget it.
Yeah, Northern Iowa has given me as a KU fan some fits.
They have.
So I'm not surprised.
Another one. I don't have it on my list, but that's another one that.
Yeah, that's Northern Iowa is definitely a notorious bracket busting team.
Oh yeah, oh for sure.
Absolutely.
Number 3.
All right, this one stereotypical, I know, but yeah, you gotta talk about it. UMBC upsetting Virginia to become the first 16 seed to beat a 1 seed. If I don't quote me on this, but it was 130 something and 0 at that point that 1 seeds were against 16 seeds. So UMBC to come out and have that upset, and it was not a buzzer beater. They won by 18 or something like that. They came out and they outplayed Virginia. Now, in a way, you could kind of tie back into that, a moment that you could compare with that and keep in context is that the very next year, Virginia came back and won the national championship. So, UMBC basically set them up for success in a way.
Oh,
because that was the ultimate meltdown to come back and win a national title.
Do you think Virginia would have won had that not happened?
More than likely, with how well they were playing.
I think 100% that's a factor. That gave them an added edge. Because the only possible way they could redeem themselves for the absolute course of history was winning it the next year.
Yeah.
The only way they could do it. Because
they did it.
If they wouldn't have won, that would have literally loomed over their entire program forever. Never would have been forgotten. Because everyone would say, you lost to a 16 seed. But now they can say, yeah, but we won it the next year. So that just oh, yeah, that's true. It cancels out the argument.
Exactly. But at the same time, that moment is still there. People still talk about it.
Oh,
the only 16 seed to do it.
It should be on everyone's top 5.
Exactly.
It's on my top 5.
Exactly.
But my number 3, I'm sorry to do this to you, Nolan. Trey Burke, Michigan. Hitting the 3 to send it to OT to knock out KU, the number 1 overall seed in the Sweet 16. I'm sorry, Nolan. This one is a little personal for me, though, because I live in Lawrence, for one. I don't know why I agreed to do this, but I did. I'm glad I did. I went to a KU watch party with all my high school friends, all KU fans, obviously. KU was up by 14, if I'm not mistaken, with like 4 minutes left in the game. All my friends kind of started, not paying attention. Like, all right, sweet, we're moving on to the Elite. Stopped kind of paying attention. Started like, talking about their next matchup, all these little things. I was like ignoring all that because I didn't want to hear any of the KU hype. I was like, I don't care. I started paying a little more attention to the game. I was like, hold on a minute. Michigan's coming back. They're like, nah. I was like, no, hold on a minute. They're coming back. And then when Trey Burke hit that shot, I was like, it happened. They literally, all of them, I will never forget, they all just fell to the floor and were like, no. And then Michigan comes out in overtime, 5 straight points, never looked back, won it. I'm sorry, Nolan, to bring up this memory to you, but I will just never forget it because of the environment that I was in. In the KU watch party, everyone was like, nah, we got it. I was like, hold on. And then he hit that, sent it in overtime. They win in overtime, moved to the Elite Eight. Incredible.
Well, I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't consider that one of the greatest shots in college basketball. I mean, the man pulled up from basically half court.
Yeah.
It was, and it wasn't like
past Steph range. It was like Steph range a little bit past.
It wasn't like a half court heave, a prayer.
No, it was like a set shot. Like he was like, that's in.
Yeah, he pulled up with intent of shooting that in full form and everything. So yeah, definitely one of the craziest shots ever. I was very upset by that. It was a jaw dropper, but that happens. It's March. When else would it happen?
That's so like, trust me. We have all had our heartbreak. Trust me.
Absolutely.
Gosh. Number two.
Another stereotypical one, but man, I love this. Florida Gulf Coast Dunk City Magic against Otto Porter.
Such a good one. I'm so glad you had that on your list.
Powerhouse Georgetown. Georgetown was revived that year. Number 1 seed in the tournament. They were like, oh man, this is the best they've been since Patrick Ewing was there.
Yep.
They came out. Otto Porter was the guy to play against. And then Florida Gulf Coast is throwing behind the head alley-oops and catching lobs, and it was absolutely insane. Probably one of the more impressive, like, I would say, non-fundamental ways of winning college basketball. Because you're not used to lobs. Well, besides KU this year, they threw a lot of lobs. I mean, that was all they did to Udoka. But
it was literally Dunk City. That's how they won it.
On fast breaks, how often in college basketball on a fast break do you see a Dwayne Wade type play, throw it?
It was like an NBA All-Star game.
Exactly.
Just literally running and just throwing it because they knew someone was going to go get it.
Exactly.
Just throw it around the rim. Someone's going to catch it.
It was crazy to just watch them almost – I don't want to disrespect it by saying it was street ball, but it was street ball in a way, and it worked because people were catching the lobs. They were having fun in the game, and they simply outplayed Georgetown.
Dude, nobody could believe it because Georgetown, you're right, was the 2 seed, Florida Gulf Coast at 15, and everyone was just like, no way, this won't happen. And mostly because they weren't, like, playing, like, incredible defense or, like – all these like, they're just hitting lucky threes. No, they were just literally sprinting and throwing it and just dunking it the whole game. And that's why it was so incredible. I'm so happy that's on your list.
Yeah.
Because that is iconic.
Awesome. Yeah. God, never forget it. So Lob good. City in Florida Gulf Coast.
That's so good. That's so good. My number 2 is one you already mentioned. It's UMBC over Virginia. Absolute must. I don't know if it'll ever happen again. I don't think it will ever happen again. The 16 seed beating Virginia. It was actually great for me because it helped Kansas State a little bit. That's why I was like watching because I don't know if anyone was really watching the game until it's like, oh, it's close, but one seed always ends up winning. I was watching the whole game because I knew K-State was going to play Virginia next. So I was like, oh, I got to watch Virginia. I got to see what they do, And I was like, this isn't going to happen. And then there was a point in that game you knew it was going to happen. You're like, wait, this is going to happen. Like, they're going to win. And it was the classic shock and awe. UMBC makes history in Charlotte. Also in our Tuesday Takeover entry. Because it's an iconic one. In the top 5 list, should be in everyone's top 5 list, because what everyone thought couldn't happen actually happened and probably won't ever happen again. So
exactly.
That's number 2 for me. And now the moment you've all been waiting for. Number 1, all-time March moments for each of us. Nolan, go.
All right. Well, it's recently become a tie for me between 2 events.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I get where you're going with this, because there's one that's on here that you haven't mentioned yet. So I think I know where you're going with this.
Okay. So it's a tie. I'll start with Mario Chalmers 3 at the buzzer.
There it is. Yep,
send it to OT against Memphis and Derrick Rose. I mean, that essentially led to KU winning the national title in 08. I know that hurts your heart to hear, but that's one of the greatest shots of all time.
Make a free throw, Derrick Rose. Make a free throw.
I mean, you talk about it. I mean, they replayed that on TV for a reason. I mean, that was one of the best national championship games you're going to get. That was one of the first times in a while that you kind of saw a game go into OT and have the extra set of play to where, how rested are these kids? Are these kids ready to run an OT in a big environment like this? And KU came out on top.
I don't know if I've ever told you this. I actually have some memorabilia from that national championship game. My uncle went to that. My uncle's a KU fan, went to that game. It's the only KU thing I own is that San Antonio Final Four with UCLA, Memphis, KU, and North Carolina. And that I had the Final Four hat with the cowboy hat logo in 08. Only KU thing that I own is that Final Four memorabilia. So.
See, you can't forget about it. You can't forget about it.
You really can't.
It's a tie now, recently, and I know this isn't Division I. It's Division II. Northwest winning their second national championship to finish the perfect 38-0 season.
Wow.
I mean, you got to talk about it. All freshman team to come out and go undefeated and win a national championship was unbelievable. I remember watching it on TV and seeing Coach Mack with the net around his neck, and just watching it was great. Yeah, I know you were there. You were in Evansville.
It was ridiculous.
I was down in Florida on vacation watching it on TV, and just getting to watch that, considering that I went to the first one in 2016, I actually went and watched it live in person. To see another one happen was even better. And a perfect season, I mean, you literally can't do any better. So, I mean, for that to be my alma mater and my school to do that was outstanding. So that's why it is now tied with Mario Chalmers' moment, just because it's my alma mater with my favorite Division I team. So they're tied.
I didn't even think about. I mean, that's got to be like a number 1 for me too. Then I guess because I was there, I watched it happen. It was unbelievable. I literally lost my voice. Gosh, I mean, my dad and I went down and we held the trophy afterwards. Like, gosh, man, yeah, that's got to be a tie for me, number 1. But the one that I actually had was Division I still, and it was. I'm surprised you didn't have this in your top 5. But it was Villanova, Chris Jenkins for the national championship game winner. After what Marcus Page did to tie it with his shot, and then Jenkins comes down. He's trailing after inbounding it. You knew it was in. Like, everyone knew, like, oh, he's trailing. He's open. Cash money.
See, when I was watching that, I knew that was going to give the ball up.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
he was their hot hand all
For
night.
sure.
Now, Jenkins was playing very good, too. And he's going to kick it out to Jenkins, who was the best three-point shooter of the night. I literally sat there and told my dad, I was like, watch, gives the ball up to Jenkins at the buzzer. And it freaking happened. Because, I mean, just watching that game, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. The disrespect is not in my top 5. It's up here. It's in my top 5.
That's
but
fair.
For these purposes,
that's fair.
I have some better ones that were more memorable for myself. But you're right on the money. That's one of the craziest endings. How often does a national championship end on a buzzer beater?
I just exactly. That's why it's my number one, because it won the championship. Like, it didn't send it to OT. It won it at the buzzer. I'll never forget it. I was in my college dorm room my freshman year. I was hosting a watch party. I was on the same floor as the football team, and literally the entire hall all started yelling at the same time and just blew up the building. We all were just yelling. We all went out in the halls and started sprinting back and forth in the halls because we were like, there's no way that just happened. We'll never forget it. And that's the kicker for me, too, is what you just said, is how it won the national championship. It wasn't an OT. It wasn't an Elite Eight to make the Final Four. It literally was the game winner for the national championship.
Absolutely.
God, the list, we could go on for literally hours talking about this.
Oh, yeah.
Northwest, man, let's eat. I'm so well done. I'm so happy that made it, because that's now made it for me, too, because I experienced that live, and it was the most insane thing I've ever seen.
Exactly.
Gosh. What are we going to talk about next week? Like, this is incredible. Don't worry. We'll think of something. We're keeping y'all in quarantine from being bored. That's what we're doing here, and you're welcome for that, because honestly, it's keeping myself from boredom, because there's no sports going on. What does a sports broadcaster do without sports? Other than play 2K and MLB The Show, because that's all I've been doing. That's my sports fix for the day. That's what I do. So now we have this once a week, and it's so fantastic. So thank you for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. We are struggle busing through this hiatus of no sports with you, but
right here with you.
We are here.
Right here with you. Oh, man. Nolan, say goodbye to the people, because we're here next week, so don't miss out.
Yeah. Guys, stay safe.
Absolutely.
It's not, unfortunately, to be negative here for a second, it's not getting better. Just continue to practice good hygiene, wash your hands, stay inside. Don't be stupid. Just, the more we attack this the smart way, the faster this will get over with, the faster the sports come back, and then you don't have to listen to me whine about not having sports.
I literally couldn't have said it better myself. We will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast edition of Tuesday Takeover. We don't know what we're going to talk about next week, but it'll be entertaining. See you then.